We all know who landed Sri Lanka in this mess. Two groups, the Rajapaksas and China. And both have refused to take responsibility for what's happening right now. In this time of crisis, the Sri Lankan people need real friends. And they found one in India. Now, India's legacy in Sri Lanka is a complicated one. Nationalists here love berating India, and there's a reason for that. India's cultural ties with the Tamil minority. Nationalists in Colombo doubted India's intentions during the civil war. They accused India of arming the Tamil rebels. That civil war ended in 2009, but those doubts never really disappeared. So this is India's chance to finally set the record straight, to win the trust of the Sri Lankan public, and so far they've done exactly that, or tried to do that. Let me quote a statement by the current Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe. This is what he said. "No country is giving us money for fuel and coal, only India is giving. Our Indian credit line is now nearing its end. We are talking about extending it." Compare that to China. Their state media accused the Sri Lankan government of maladministration. They refused to admit the debt trap, and now they're refusing to restructure loans to Sri Lanka. India, on the other hand, is proactive. We have compiled a list of what India has done so far. Take a look at this list. A $400 million currency swap, a credit line of $1 billion, almost 500,000 metric tons of fuel, 65,000 tons of fertilizer, 3.3 tons of medical supplies, 9,000 metric tons of rice, 50 metric tons of milk powder. The state government of Tamil Nadu is also pitching in with humanitarian aid. So put together, India's assistance is worth $3.5 billion. And it's not just the money, it's also the intention. India is actively trying to stabilize Sri Lanka, to help the Sri Lankan people. Even China had to accept that. Today, another deal was announced. India's Export-Import Bank is extending a new credit line to Sri Lanka. It's worth around $55 million. And this money will be used to buy urea ahead of the sowing season here. It starts from May and runs until August end. Now, this fertilizer purchase is key for Sri Lanka because one of the biggest problems here is food shortage. Farming output has fallen almost 50% this year, so reviving agriculture is a top priority. And once again, India stepped in to help. Unlike China, there are no political strings attached, no transfer of assets, no corrupt agreements. This is about helping Sri Lanka stay afloat. Having said that, there is a strategic angle to this help. Like Milton Friedman said, there is no free lunch. India must have some expectations from Sri Lanka. Have those been met? India has secured access to British-era oil tanks in Trincomalee. They also signed a deal to build a 100-megawatt power plant. It's a good start, but India will be expecting more. This assistance could finally change years of public perception. But here's the question. Will India leverage this shifting attitude? Because New Delhi has two major goals here. Number one, containing Chinese influence on the island. And number two, pushing for an inclusive political environment. The first goal, related to China, is unfolding naturally. Sri Lankans themselves have turned against China. What about the second one? The Tamil minority in Sri Lanka is a major concern for India. Let me quote India's official position on this. India believes that it is in Sri Lanka's own interest that the expectations of Tamils in Sri Lanka for equality, justice, peace and dignity within a united Sri Lanka are fulfilled. Now, do you see the problem here? India wants to win over Sri Lanka's reluctant majority. At the same time, India also wants to protect the Tamil minority. And balancing these two things will be a challenge for New Delhi. But that's a discussion for another day, perhaps. Right now, India is focused on the economic crisis. Reports say New Delhi is helping Sri Lanka with debt relief. Repayment of $1 billion is being deferred. Also, India is talking to the IMF on Sri Lanka's behalf. Clearly, India has emerged as Sri Lanka's most reliable friend at the moment. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.